Hi guys, it's Mary with Big on Books. The light is actually cooperating today. I'm very happy. So I promised you guys both on my personal and my Big on Books Twitter, if you follow one or you follow the other, you get both the news, that I would be doing a book review today. And this book review is Wonder by R.J. Palacio. Okay, let me just start off by saying I review almost every single book on YouTube, on Goodreads, with at least a starred review, if not, then a regular book review like I would do on here. I did not give this any stars, and I'm going to explain why. The reason I didn't give it any stars is because I didn't think it was a bad book. I just didn't rate it. If you don't know what Wonder is about, it's this boy named Augie. He was born with a facial deformity, though you don't really say the word deformity in the book. It sounds bad. He has had 27 surgeries, and he does not have what somebody would call a regular looking face. Like, his eyes are down here, his ears are kind of pushed in, things like that. So he has been homeschooled until he was about, I think the book is he's 11. And so his parents have decided it's time for him to go to middle school. It's 5th grade, it's the beginning of middle school, everybody will be new. So they enroll him in Beecher Prep Academy, which is this very elite school, and he's nervous but excited on his first day. He's afraid of how the kids would look at him, because he says there's this thing where people do a 1-2 where they just go, where they kind of just like take a look back, like, oh, that's what his face looks like. And we really get to see how he deals with this, and we get to see how his friends and family around him deal with this. It goes through several different points of views. It goes through his sisters, Via, or Olivia, she is called. It goes through his friend Summer. It goes through his friend Jax. It goes through Justin, who Olivia's boyfriend, whom I'm going to get to in a minute. It goes through Miranda, who is Via's ex-friend slash friend. And continually throughout the book, it is through Augie's point of view. It always brings it back to Augie, but I do think that part of the reason why I did not like the book as much as I think I could have is because I love the movie so much. The reason I wanted to read the book is because I saw the movie. And then I couldn't get the comparisons out of my head when I was reading the book, because I just thought the movie was so great. Probably the biggest problem I had with the book, okay, well, two of the biggest problems were you did not need some points of views in there. I really did not feel you needed Summer's. Hers came before Jack's, but her point of view was basically just, I sat down with Augie, I felt sorry for him. Everybody says I'm gonna be a social outcast, and like ours and the boys' popular group have kind of mixed together for the pure fact that they're dating. First of all, who's dating in 5th grade? Like, let's be honest, you should not even be, like, you can have crushes. You shouldn't even be dating in 5th grade. Like, you're too young. You're 10 or 11 or 12 or how old you are. You should not be dating. Let that be it. But like, Summer's point of view was basically like, people are dating. I sat down because I felt sorry for him. It was basically the same as Jax. Okay. It was basically the same as Jax, except Jax, we learned a little bit of his home life, about how he's not the richest kid. He got in on a scholarship. He was told as a welcome kid, or he was told by Mr. Tushman, the director of Beecher Prep, that he should be, like a welcoming kid. The teachers should all put him and Augie together. So I really felt like Summer did not need to have a point of view of herself. Now, Justin is Olivia / Via's boyfriend. Her family calls her Via. Her friends and people at school call her Olivia. That's basically the same with me. I am called Mary at work. I started going by Mary my junior year of school. My family still calls me Mary Kate. It's just a nickname I grew up with since I've been born, so it's basically the same, so I kind of related to her in that way. But her boyfriend is Justin. Now, we did not need Justin's point of view. Let's be honest. And his like section was so confusing because it literally had no grammar except for like periods and commas. It had no grammar. Everything was undercase. Nothing had like quotation marks. I was so confused on who was talking half the time. I was just like, why is this like being told like this? I don't understand this. And two, okay, so I don't really need to see his point of view. It's not relevant at all to the story. I felt really, I felt Via's story was the most important of the point of views of, besides Augie's, because Augie's obviously the main character, but Via is his older sister who is always living in his shadow because she has felt like she can't complain about anything because Augie always has it worse. So she feels terrible that she wants to take the spotlight away from him for a while. I felt we didn't get to see enough of that. I felt like we should have seen more of Via, more of her life, more of her trying to be like out of her brother's shadow. I felt like the movie did that better, because we got Via's point of view about, yeah, so my two friends, Miranda and Emmy or whatever the other girl's name was, they ditched me, and the second friend isn't really that like important in the story, which I don't think they really needed her for, which I really think the movie did best. And Justin, she makes friends with a girl from middle school or elementary school, and her boyfriend, and the boyfriend's friend who she immediately has a crush on, and that's all we hear about Justin for about 100 or so pages. And Justin's part opens up and it says, Olivia and I have been dating for 2 months. I'm sorry. Like, wait, where'd that 2 months go? Like, we heard nothing about Via. We heard nothing about this. We heard nothing about meeting her parents. Like, or meeting, him meeting her parents. I am sorry, but that annoyed me to no end. It felt like Justin was just there as a romantic interest. Like, he had no point to him. At least the movie made him somewhat relevant in him becoming her friend and him taking her out of his shell, him making her come out of her shell. It felt like he was more of a concrete character in the movie than just a stupid romantic love interest in the book. And which I felt really annoying, and like the saddest part for me wasn't just was obviously the dog, because like whenever you have a dog in a story, you know they're gonna like die, which is just saddening. But the dog was just suddenly like sick in the book. It was just like, yeah, she's been throwing up for the past 2 months. You haven't noticed, Augie? Like, okay, so you're so self-centered on yourself? Because this book really is all about Augie being self-centered. Like, Augie is probably the most annoying character in the book, and I've never hated a character more than I hate Augie. Because while he figures out, like, while he is like getting pushed around and like making friends and all of this, because of this condition that he has, he is going around feeling sorry for himself, and Via is like talking to him saying, everything is not about you, because nothing is more annoying than self-pity. But it is not all about him. It may be his story, but from the other points of views we see there are more important and more in-depth characters in the book than Augie just being sorry for himself because a kid made fun of him. Like, you know, people stare at him all the time. I had 3 public seizures in school. I'm sorry, but I had people staring at me all the time, Augie, and it really does not matter. Just ignore that they're there. Except for Julian. Julian is just awful. He's the bully and he really sucks. But I felt like some parts were really rushed. Like the dog just suddenly, it felt like RJ Palacio just wanted like to follow the basic formula of a dog in a book or a movie and just like killed the dog off. Because we do get a little bit of Daisy the dog's story life, about how like she was abandoned as a puppy and all this stuff, so she was kind of a rescue dog. But like all of a sudden we just get this, she nipped mom, she's going to the vet, she doesn't feel good, she's been throwing up for the past 2 months. You could obviously tell that this was just thrown in there as a plot point, like just to make you feel bad for the characters. I think the movie did a lot of things much better, and I think the movie is better, and I hate it when people tell me, which I know I'm going to get down below, I hate it when people tell me I'm wrong, because I feel like the movie showed you she's getting sicker, she's getting sicker, she's getting sicker, because then you know something is happening, then just like, okay, like, the kid is so self-centered. He didn't notice his dog was throwing up for 2 months. Like, let's be honest. I felt like Justin, again, was a more concrete character. He showed up throughout the books, or he showed up throughout the movie more than a prospective love interest. Like, you could obviously tell he was going to be a love interest, but at the same time, he was more than just, oh, I asked her out and we've been dating for 2 months and that is all I hear at the end of it. Probably one of the biggest problems that I didn't talk about earlier on is that, this is gonna really annoy me, is that August said he is not retarded. He knows what is going on when Via and her mom are talking about the play. I think the author thought it was okay to use the R word because it was Augie, but it is never okay to use that, and I had to put the book down, and I was just like, she did not just use that word. Augie did not just say that word. Anyone who has a condition, unseen, seen, whatever, should not be using that word. Or anybody else should not be using that word. Like, that is not okay. I can't believe that made it in the book. Like, it's a children's book. Kids are gonna be quoting these books. Like, I quote Harry Potter all the time. Like, it's Harry Potter, but Wonder is just as, like, good, or, like, the writing is kind of awful, let's be honest. It did not make me cry. It did not make me feel anything. But the most annoying thing besides his self-pity, besides Augie's self-pity, is that he wins he wins a prestigious medal for just being himself, for just like lifting up parts because he, you know, like made friends. He helped stop this war, or like he helped create this war and then stopped it, and like he basically won an award for being disfigured. Let's be honest. That should not be okay. And if you see the movie, if you've read the book, you know that's the reason why. You basically know it's not his character that, like, lifts him up. You basically don't, like, see that much of his character. He just talks about his face a lot. Nobody, like, really talks about how nice of a kid Augie is besides his friends or his family. Like, you don't get to see a lot of that. So it really, really annoyed me in the book and in the movie that he won that award when it should have been, like, Jack or Summer or somebody who actually deserved the award. I honestly don't think Augie deserved that award. I honestly really loved the movie better. It did a ton of things better. It talked about the nature tree better. I would have rather seen more of the science in the book than history in the book. His history was as big a plot point in science, or in the book, as science was in the movie. And I really feel like, since August was a science nerd, that it should have been as sciencey in the book as it was in the movie. And we don't really get to see a lot of Via in the movie, and we don't get to really see a lot of Via's emotions throughout the book. I felt like Via was the one you should be rooting for the entire story. I felt like her part was written the best. I felt like Augie was, even though it was his book, even though it was about his life, I felt like Via was the one you were just like, okay, hold on. Like, I want to hear more about Via's story. I need to hear more about how Via was like not put down her whole life, but had to learn how to survive in a family that was more focused on her brother than herself. The only person that it seemed really, really cared about her, besides her parents and her friends, in her family, was her grandmother. Her grandmother was probably the only one who saw Via for more than just Augie's sister. I felt like I should have seen more of that. I felt like I should have seen more of Via. Via is definitely my favorite character. I felt like this book was not as good as it could have been. Again, I kept comparing it to the movie, but I think that movie did so much better. Let's be honest. It's my opinion. However, I think the movie made me cry more than the book. The book, I felt, was just kind of so-so. I felt the book should have been better. I felt that she just wrote in Justin and Summer's points of view for just making the book longer when we could have heard more about Via or Miranda's story, because Miranda's story was really interesting. I felt she was just there as a plot point too. But her story about her parents' divorce and her friendship with Via and everything was very important to the story, however little it was talked about. I felt like Justin and Summer, while they were definitely friends and like important to the story, they should not have they should not have had their own points of view. I felt like they should have been cut. Their points of view should have been cut. We should have seen more of Via. We should have seen more maybe of the mom or the dad, because you never really know what the dad is doing. The mom, what I liked most about her character in the movie versus the book is that the mom was actually doing something. In the book, it seems like she's doing nothing but waiting around for Augie's school to call. In the movie, she's actually doing something. She's working on her thesis. I felt like that was important. You never hear about the mother side of the story. It felt a little bit like my sister's keeper to me, where the mother was just waiting around for something to happen. You never saw the mother's point of view. You never saw the father's point of view. You only saw the sisters. You only saw the main characters, and you only saw several other characters. I felt like this book needed a lot more done on it. I felt like this book obviously could have been written better. It was a good book. Believe me, it was a good book. I read it in 2 days. I couldn't put it down. However, I felt like this just lacked something, and a lot of it was just, you could have cut out pages. You could have done this. You could have done that. You could have... There are things you can do to, better a story and not, include useless information, where everybody says something that says the same, Summer sounds like Jack, and, her story, and the fact that they're dating, and the fact that she used the R word is just, ridiculous to me. Why are you using that word? Why are you using that word? That was probably the biggest problem for me. Anyway. While it was a good book, I'm still not going to rate it, because I just need to put my thoughts together, because it was a good book. I just liked the movie so much more. The movie showed more concrete characters. It had a lot more going for it than the book did. It isn't good enough. It isn't good or bad enough to make a list of top 10 books I've read, or the top 10 worst books I've read. It's definitely somewhere in the middle, but I definitely didn't feel that strongly about it to give it 5 stars, not even 4 stars, but didn't think it was that bad to give it 1 star. Tell me how you feel down below about this book. Definitely tell me how much you loved it. If you did, tell me if you agree with some of the points I make. I know you're not going to agree with all of it, but definitely tell me how you felt after you watched the movie, after you read the book, before. I would love to see your guys' reviews. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.